Hi, this is Kylie Koo. Welcome to my studio and welcome to creating a positivity deck. This is week 10. We're still in the slowdown state of being, and today I'm looking at flow. So before I turn to this week's word, I always like to take a bit of time to look through the cards from the previous weeks. And last week's, of course, was balance. And you would see there that the glossy accents has now completely dried. So, turning to this week, and the word flow. So I really just journaled today in terms of trying to think about what the word flow meant to me, and especially following on from last week in terms of balance. So I'd thought about balance and bringing things into balance. So what did flow mean? So the first thing was movement and an obvious link with water. Then I started to think about the element of wind and just the fact that you get a kind of flow of air. I then started to think about the fact though that flow can mean really being focused, being in the moment, being absorbed, concentrating on something in depth. And that's a place that I like to get to when I'm creating, that my mind is focused. I'm actually totally in the zone when I'm creating my art. I can't always do it, but it's a place that I like to be. And even if I'm doing something else, like reading, then I like to do it with intention. I like to be absorbed because I feel that I get something more out of it. So again, with those positive thoughts, I want to now try and interpret that in a way that when I look at my positivity card in future, I'll understand what I mean by flow. So I start by putting a layer of gesso onto my card. I then let it dry, but I will in fact put on a second layer, although I do that off camera. I then decided to apply a layer of indigo. And as always at this stage, I wasn't entirely certain where the card was going, but I felt drawn to this kind of very dark blue colour. Although as you'll see, it largely gets covered up, but it does act as a nice base for the card. And as always, just taking my time applying this. And again, off camera, I'll put a second coat on. At this point, I'd just like to say a big thank you to all the other YouTubers who are doing positivity cards along with me. I'm really enjoying watching the videos. I've still a few to catch up on, but thanks for doing that, and I'll give everyone a shout out next week. Also a big thank you to everyone that is sharing their work and sharing their thoughts in the Facebook group. So many wonderful, wonderful cards being created, so thanks to everyone. So now I'm going to take these iridescent paints. If you look closely at my card, you'll see there's a few bubbles on it. I just got a little bit too close when I was drying it, but you know, as I've said in other weeks, when these kind of things happen, it doesn't worry me. It adds a bit of texture to the card. There's no point in worrying or being concerned about something like that. So I've laid the three colours of iridescent paint on at the same time. These are Paybill paints. And all I'm doing is taking a small flat paintbrush and just starting to move the paint about. And I realise that as I'm doing this, I am actually creating a flow. Just that very moment, that very movement is giving me that sense of flow. And just enjoying the process of doing this, not thinking about it too much, just letting the brush flow across the card. And you'll see that the paints are mixing in a little, not necessarily intentional, but not unsurprising given that they were sitting all close together. And again, I'm perfectly happy with that. So my intention is to create something that reminds me of flow, but in terms of what's going down, I'm really just doing this kind of intuitively. And at this point, I am very much in the flow, totally into it. Just in the zone and being in the moment. And I just keep emphasising and re-emphasising that kind of flow motion. Now, of course, you don't have to be slow to be in the flow, but that's just a way that's working for me at the moment with these cards. Very much not trying to rush, just trying to take my time and just enjoy the process, however it turns out. It doesn't matter how it turns out. It's very much about enjoying the process and making this a positive experience. So as I have probably said with other cards, I could have walked away from the card at that point and left it and been quite happy. But because I was into it, I was in the flow of creating the card, I just decided to add a little bit more. And so I just took this white Posca pen and just started to create some little circles. Now, because this takes me a little while, I am going to cut forward to when the stage is almost done. So I spent in the region of 5 minutes, maybe more, just creating those little circles. I wasn't rushing, I was just enjoying. And now all I'm going to do is write the word flow. And I'm almost just doing it along the flow of the little circles and the paint. And I just add a few lines in just to emphasise the kind of fluid nature of what's on the card. And again, probably spending a good minute or two just doing this. Just creating, just transferring those positive thoughts into my card. And then once that's done, I'll just sit with my card for a few moments, again reflecting on what I'd written for myself in the journal. And that will be it. So I hope you've enjoyed this week's video. I hope you'll think about what flow means for you. And if you've been joining in by creating your positivity cards, then, please do feel free to share them on social media. So once again, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again next week. Bye for now.